Welcome to today's event where we have the pleasure to present Embla Medical, former Syr, but I think now we have established this name, so maybe we don't need to mention it. To help us through today's presentation, answer question, CEO and President Sven Silverson. Q3, your Q3 result, of course, the main focus today. I think it showed continue good momentum, at least if I see on the share price, that's always a weighing mechanism, then that must be the conclusion. So excited to get through the results and the main achievements. As always, you are very encouraged to ask questions in the box down below. During the presentation, we will have a pretty short presentation, so I think we will take mainly the questions in the end. But for now, I will hand the call over to you, Sven.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thanks for having me here today, and thanks everyone for dialing in. Now I'm gonna take us through the big picture here in Q3, and then we can go into Q&A. So we reported yesterday morning a strong quarter where we have 7% organic growth, 11% local currency growth when we include the impact from M&A and a slight positive impact from currency, and then our EBITDA margin is 3 percentage points higher than it was in the same quarter last year. Similar trends as we see in the prior part of the year, and we reiterated our guidance for the full year, which we narrowed after Q2 towards the upper end of our financial guidance, which is 6 to 8% organic growth and around 20% EBITDA margin. On the operational side and strategy execution side, we have good progress here in Q3. We recently launched 2 new products in the Bionic range, Navi by Usher and Icon by College Park. These products are currently in what we refer to as limited launch, but will be in full launch here going into next year. And also on Naked Prosthetics, which is a company we acquired a couple of years ago, that is the market leader for mechanical fingers for partial hand amputations. We are now launching a new generation here in the quarter, and I'm excited to see how that is received in the market. Fior & Gentz, 9 months ago, we announced the acquisition of Fior & Gentz, which is a great company that has focused on providing components that are used to build braces or exoskeletons for individuals with a neuromuscular complication as a result of stroke or cerebral palsy or other traumatic events. We continue to progress on the integration. Remember this, Fior & Gentz predominantly, the main part of their sales is in Germany, and our intention is to use our commercial infrastructure and relationships with orthopedic and prosthetic clinics that serve people with these types of mobility challenges globally with use our infrastructure to bring these products to more individuals. Then another milestone for us here in the quarter was that we started to roll out our new brand in patient care, ForMotion. We operate patient care in most of the big global healthcare markets, and now we are uniting our patient care business under the brand of ForMotion, started in the Netherlands, and we'll also roll the new brand out here in Denmark and in the US here in Q4. So good progress on several fronts with regards to both operational progress and on our main strategic initiatives. Another important aspect with regards to our external environment that we have talked a lot about here also in recent quarters is the change in US healthcare or where the US system has essentially decided to increase access to high quality mobility devices. And I'll say a few more words about that on the next slide. But just to complete the big picture overview here, we won gold at the Paralympics in Paris, where we were super proud to see a lot of the leading para athletes use our iconic cheetah running blades, as you can see on the picture here on the right with the yellow stripe. We are a very big part of the athletes in the athletics competition decide to use our products, and we won 11 gold medals, which we are super proud of. So yeah, that was a little bit of a side note. If we move forward, and I want to say a few words around this change in coverage in the US. The US is our largest market, and up until now, only those patients that are considered active, K3 and above, as you can see on the slide here, have had access to what we refer to as bionic knees. Bionic knees are knee joints that have some sort of sensor capability, some sort of artificial intelligence that help the patients walk more normally and help also with moving up and down stairs and moving in uneven terrain, or in more simple terms, simply raise quality of life and increase mobility levels, which drives down the cost burden for healthcare systems. This is one of the main assumptions we make as a company and as an industry, that gradually, let's say, public payers are willing to recognize the health economic benefits of providing access to good mobility devices. And this change in the US is a very strong signal from one of the biggest healthcare systems that they understand these health economic benefits and are willing to provide also now lower active patients with these types of products. And this change was announced in the beginning of the year. There was a consultation period, and now this change has been implemented from 1st of September. But we are, let's say, we don't expect this to have any meaningful impact on our sales here in the remainder of the year, but it will grow the addressable market in the next many years. And the easiest way to think about this is that we are in the business of servicing an existing population that consistently needs to maintain, upgrade, and renew their mobility devices. And now, as we move forward, a bigger part of this population has access to better devices, and it's our job to provide them with those products and services. And if you can see on the bottom part of this picture here, for Medicare, which is the public payer, which accounts for which covers approximately 30% of the amputee population in the US, the volume of claims processed is approximately 50-50 between high active and low active, but let's say the payments are made to the high active category are much higher, or a ratio of 9 to 10, because this part of the population has access to better devices. So this will grow the market, and we will be part of that journey.
And Sven, just to get a kind of a feel for that, I think I asked also Klaus here at some point in time, how many times more is the revenue by going to a bionic than being treated like with less technology solutions? Is this a good indication? This 90% and 10%, is it 6-8 times higher revenue per patient you serve? Is that a good indication of the potential of moving it? Oh, I think we just lost Sven. We will just try and get him back so he can answer the question and go on. So if everybody just sits and waits a little bit, then it will be perfect.
Sorry about that.
No problem. The connection can always be lost. I don't know. Did you hear my question, Sven?
No, sorry. We have to repeat that. Apologies for that.
Good. I'm asking, is this 90-10% a good indication on if you move a patient from your less technology to a bionics? Is that a good indication that the revenue is maybe 6 to 8 times higher for you? Is that a reasonable assumption?
Yeah, in many cases it is. I mean, a bionic device is a more costly device for the system, and those components are more costly, but they create much more value. And yes, that's not an unreasonable ratio. Maybe yeah, as you mentioned, 6 to 8 times is it depends on certain things, but yeah, typically, and that is the best way to think about it, Michael, going forward, is that the system, the clinics will see the same number of patients essentially, but you'll have more patients coming in with mechanical solutions getting upgraded to a bionic solutions, and that upgrade cycle will take some time to work through over the next couple of years.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course. And then let me see if you can move to the guidance slide for me, please, and then we can bring that up just to say a few words around that. We are guiding for, when we started the year, we set a guidance for 5 to 8% organic growth and an EBITDA margin of 19 to 20%. And we upgraded or moved that guidance towards the upper end here after Q2, or narrowed the range from 6 to 8 and guidance to around 20% EBITDA margin. And we are reiterating that guidance here today. If we look at sort of, in Q2 and Q3, our EBITDA margin has been around 22%. Seasonally, those are the strongest quarters. Q4 is also a seasonally very strong quarter for us sales-wise, but also when it comes to cost and activity, a little on the high side. So EBITDA margin will be a little lower here in Q4, and we expect to hit the 20% EBITDA margin for the full year, as we've guided.
Perfect. Let's jump into some questions.
Yeah.
Then what are the best product in your pipeline?
The bionics is a very important theme for us and a big priority for us as a business. Bionics are somewhere between 20 and 25% of our sales in the prosthetics business, and this also ties back to the reimbursement changes that I was talking about. That gradually healthcare systems are wanting to pay for more bionics. And our bionics range is now stronger. A couple of years ago, we essentially only had our mainstream Rio knee. Now we are launching the next generation of the Rio knee, which is the Navi that I talked about earlier. We also launched the Icon by College Park, and we also have in the market now for a couple of years our Power Knee and our Proprio Foot. So we have a broader portfolio of bionics, and a big part of our R&D investment is in growing these or improving these products, and that over the next couple of years you will see us continue to come forward with bionic technology with both incremental improvements, and then with regards to power, our Power Knee is a new category, if you will, where we are introducing a product that also has some muscle power, which is especially valuable for elderly patients and going up and down stairs and sitting up and down of a chair. So this is where our main R&D intensity is, around these bionic products.
And then looking a little bit at the business side, it looks like you are early into a launch phase of new technology. That is of course positive on the growth perspective, but what on the cost side? Are you covered there, or will you see some higher cost the coming years for this launch activity? I guess that will increase into the coming years. Of course, the growth might be very positive impacted by it, but what about the cost side?
I mean, we haven't guided for communicated any let's say step change in R&D cost. I mean, R&D cost will grow largely in line with our top line. We continue to believe in our ability to create more functional benefit for amputees by investing in technology. So we don't expect any step change in our R&D cost as such. But it will continue. What we don't expect it to sort of decrease or grow at a lower rate than our top line. So we continue to be committed to growing through innovation.
Yes. Then there's a question about returns, dividends or share buyback. I saw that you again was under your target. So there's a very hard question here. I don't think you can answer that, but can you talk? When will you again pay that? But is it something you are discussing right now? Now getting under the target there, and any thoughts about that?
We are now back in our range. Our dividend policy is such that we aim to operate the company with a financial leverage somewhere between 2 to 3 times net debt to EBITDA. Now we're back in range, so technically we can restart the share buyback program. And at each point in time, we evaluate whether we're able to make the right acquisitions to grow the business, small, medium-sized acquisition, or whether we should. And in the absence of those opportunities, we will use share buybacks as means of regulating our capital structure. And so technically we're back in range and can start that program technically any day now.
Perfect. Then there's a question. The US is an important market, but can tariffs hit you? Everybody, or do you have local production? I guess Trump in the lead, everybody is talking tariffs, and with US being an important market, I think it's important for all companies kind of to. How would they deal with that? And I know it's theoretically still, but any thoughts about that?
Yes, it is a good question. And for companies like us that are international, that operate globally, a couple of years ago, it was all about cost, just essentially, or supply chain consideration, not too much having to think about tariffs as such. But now that is just the new reality. I mean, we have the bulk of our manufacturing is in Mexico, and then we also manufacture in Iceland, and we do also outsource manufacturing of some of the more commoditized simple components to vendors in Asia. And we do have some small manufacturing locations in the United States. So, I mean, we are very happy with our location in Mexico. It's on the border to the biggest healthcare market globally. Strategically or a very favorable location, but we'll have to see sort of how this develop, and this is up for review all the time. But these are decisions that take time to change and implement, and we also obviously one part of the equation is what is the cost base of our competitors who essentially may be similar to us. We're not necessarily exposed to our biggest competitor, also European-based, which we compete with in the US. So there's a few of those things that come into the question as well.
And I guess a high margin products with medtech is of course less sensitive to that. But anyway, it's a relevant question that I think a lot of people unfortunately might have to deal with. Are you present in India?
Yes, we're present in India. We have a growing business in India, a fast-growing business in India, but from a very small base. We are very, let's say, optimistic around the potential in these private pay markets. What we have seen and others in similar businesses, that purchasing power is increasing, awareness and willingness to invest in high-quality healthcare solutions has changed dramatically over the last couple of years, and in these big countries where you have a growing middle class that has that affordability and willingness, we enjoy the highest relative organic growth rates in these private pay markets today. And our job, we do have scalability in our commercial infrastructure in, let's call it, the mature healthcare markets, and that's scalability is being reinvested to a large degree in growing our footprint in these private pay markets.
Perfect. And then there's a question: is Embla helping practitioners, physicians with how they should apply under the new rules? I guess both. So I guess some of the roadblocks is always a new regime, do the right applications. Making sure that you scan for the right patients to being able to move up. So do you do any benchmark help physician practitioners in general with that?
Yes, this is a very big part. We have a team in the US, a reimbursement team where we have individuals who are very experienced in operating in the healthcare system in the US that are translating these regulation changes and helping our customers with how to document their reimbursement approval applications for K2 patients. So this is a big effort for us these days to create material and having an active dialogue with our customers around how these changes should be implemented.
And then just a clarifying question for me, because I'm not sure. If I was a patient and had gotten an old technology and now I went in for servicing or maybe exchanging that, would I then apply for moving up if I had the right requirements, meaning that it's the installed base, and I know that's a bad word to use for patient. It's the installed base that is the potential and not only new patient. Is that correctly understood?
That's exactly. I mean, that is exactly right. It's the best way to think about it is that there is an existing patient population that the system categorizes by activity levels. We estimate that the patient population is about half and half, high active, low active, and this patient is continuously need to maintain their solution. So you will have people that got a new leg last year and will not be eligible for a replacement for a couple of years from now, but you will also have those that are now coming in for replacement and will have a chance to get a better solution. So the vast majority of our business and the business of our customers is maintaining the solutions of the existing amputee population. It's to a much smaller degree dependent on new amputations.
Yes. Then there's a question. Any signs of lower momentum in Q4 on revenue based on low end of guidance? Now 7% growth, but you guide 6 to 8. So I think you realize 7% organic growth through the 9 months. So I guess the low end is kind of a low quarter. So and I know it's in your range, the current. So it's not.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to answer that is, I mean, when we started the year and set guidance, as always, something is better than what we anticipated and something is not as good as we anticipated. When we look at this year, our performance in Europe has been extraordinary, growing strong double-digit quarter over quarter, while the US is slower than what we anticipated. So, and that's just always the way it is. So we don't see any change in the business as such, but this is. Still a couple of months left of the year. There's always some possibility of some variance in either direction. So that's where we've left guidance. But we're not signaling any major change as such. But we're not going to continue to grow at these rates in EMEA into the foreseeable future. We are above what can be considered normal growth rate for that part of our business.
Perfect. And then a question on the Fior and Gens. I think you mentioned that you are looking at UK, Australia. Why not the US, the biggest market? Is Fior and Gens not relevant for that market? Do you need to do something to get in there, or is that also a high potential in this Fior and Gens acquisition you made?
Fior and Gens is a super important step for us as a company, because our center of gravity is to serve individuals with a chronic mobility challenge, and our focus historically has been on amputees. Now we are taking a step to also serve individuals with a chronic mobility challenge as a result of stroke, cerebral palsy, or other neuromuscular conditions, where in essence we're solving the same problem. But the difference with neuro or Fior and Gens is that the leg is still there, but the muscles don't work like they're supposed to work. So you need to build an exoskeletal of some sort, use the Fior and Gens components, but build a customized shell to fit to the specific individual. The same as in prosthetics. And then it's something that needs to be maintained for a long time. This industry is a couple of decades behind prosthetics, but the number of individuals that are suffering from these mobility challenges is much bigger than the amputee population. Reimbursement is generally good in most of the mature markets in Europe. Reimbursement is there in the US. It's not as good as it needs to be, and we need to work on that. But the patients are there. The need is there. So it is. This will be a growth area for us going forward, and we're very feel a sense of responsibility to drive the awareness around this type of technology, because unfortunately most people that suffer from these mobility challenges are not using these types of solutions today. They will typically receive some physical therapy, and unfortunately are just often lost in the system.
So if I should understand you, US is very relevant, and you will go there, but you're testing the way to set up the whole chains in new markets. Is that to understand why you don't start with the US?
Yeah, I mean, US is definitely an area where we see potential for this business more medium long term, but the more short term effort is where the reimbursement is established in many of our key markets in outside of the US.
Then the last question: do you prefer share buyback or dividends in general in your policy?
Our preference has been for share buyback simply because of flexibility. We are a growth company. We have opportunities to grow externally. Sometimes that can be sort of lumpy, if you will, and timing is not always controllable, if you will. So our preference has been to use share buybacks to regulate the capital structure from the standpoint of flexibility.
Perfect. That was the last question. Thank you, Sven, for taking us through your results and answering questions. And may everybody have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Have a nice day, everyone.